911, what's your emergency?
Help! I've been buried alive!
Wow, we could make a really spooky Halloween episode out of that.
You'd think, but... Oh my god, welcome back to the Firstest Podcast, guys. We are having a very I don't know about you, I'm having kind of a low-key time today. And I think the reasons for that are twofold. One, it's like dog days in New York right now because it's 72 and sunny out. So I'm just yes, let me just relax and unwind. And number two, this episode wasn't very good.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're continuing last week's trend of just kind of nothing energy, which I swear I do think I like season 5. I don't think it's exactly like with season 3, because there we went in really expecting to think yeah, this is one of the best 911 seasons ever. And then as it went on, we were like, oh, there are kind of a lot of dud episodes. This one, I guess I was expecting it to not be the greatest, but I remembered it being maybe better than people gave it credit for. And I do think there are some hits coming up. But yeah, these last 2 episodes have been a little lacking in the burger patty, as we established last week.
Yeah, imagine 2 burgers. I don't want to hyperbolize here, but imagine 2 burgers. No, I don't want to hyperbolize, but Jane, you, for basically this entire podcast lifespan, have been season 5's strongest soldier.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm very curious to see how the rest of the season shapes up for you, because we're episode 7 in, and already I could tell you my optimism for the overall arc of the season is turning down. And given
0.
the arc of the rest of the show,
listen,
I'm
listen, we liked the opening of the season, except for the chop part, right?
And the lack of zoo animals, the utter lack.
True. The cheerleader episode was good, Home and Away. The peer pressure episode was fine, I think. Okay, I feel like maybe season 5B is better than 5A. That's my new contention.
I love Cope.
Literally,
so much.
I love moving the goalposts. I love gaslighting. I love gatekeeping. I love mansplaining.
I love manipulating most of all. So with that, today we are discussing the bewilderingly titled Season 5, Episode 7 Ghost Stories, parentheses, Halloween.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Is that just on Hulu, or is that...
It's just on
IMDb. Yeah, on IMDb there is no
Ghost
in
Stories.
parentheses Halloween. And in fact, this aired a full week after Halloween. It's the second episode in the season that has aired since Halloween. Brawl in Cell Block 911 aired on November 1st. So this has always been an issue to me. I feel like, I don't remember if I talked about it in my video or not, but this has always bothered me, that this episode clearly claims to be a Halloween episode and has apparently gone as far as to label it Halloween on Hulu, but it's so clearly not a Halloween episode. It has this very vague... It starts with somebody being buried alive, which I guess is, for them, enough to be scary. And it does have a theme of, figurative ghosts from the past throughout the episode. Old... You can't keep living in the past. I was stuck thinking about... A ghost.
But that's not a ghost story.
It's not a literal... I'm sorry. For me, a Halloween episode of 911 needs to have literal ghosts, or
literal ghosts,
costumes,
calling 911,
candy, ghosts calling 911, and Buck and or Chimney thinking that some goofy supernatural thing is happening to them. Otherwise, why am I even here?
That is the question I kept coming back to while watching this episode. Why am I even here? Don't get me wrong. There are enjoyable parts of this episode, specifically
and
centering
all of
around
them start
one
with
diva
Taylor
in particular.
and end with Kelly.
Exactly. Every single one has flaming red locks of gorgeous hair, and a badass career in journalism. Everything surrounding that So imagine a burger
with nothing on it.
with nothing on it.
I want to point out, I'm still on IMDb, and the episode before this, Brawl in Cell Block 911, has an 8.2 out of 10 rating, which we wouldn't agree with, but like the crowd apparently liked it. And then the episode after this, Defend in Place, has an 8.1 out of 10. This episode has a 6.8 out of 10. So I think the people have spoken, and we can't be alone in thinking this is a dud. Also,
I saw multiple reviews calling it the worst episode of 911.
That's
multiple
hilarious.
reviews.
I think now that we're on season 9, I would say retroactively it's not the worst one, but I wouldn't put it past it being maybe the worst one thus far, even though I don't hate it as much as I hate like Eddie Begins or some of our Propaganda episodes. But
yeah,
in
like
terms
those
of
like frustrate
being a
us on a
911
spiritual
episode,
level.
it's pretty incompetent on that level.
Exactly. I would agree with that. I mean, I don't think Eddie is in this one at all.
Oh, yes.
I don't think Robbie is in this one at all.
And speaking of why are we even here, apparently Eddie answered that question with, fuck this, I'm not gonna be here. Because I noticed before starting the episode on IMDb, it says Ryan Guzman as Eddie Diaz, credit only. And I was like, what? Like
Credit
he's not
only.
in it at all? And I was watching the opening call, and I was like, well, the whole 118's here, including you even do see Ravi in the opening call. So I was like, okay, I'm sure Eddie's there. He's not. He's not. We get a couple random B-shift people. Eddie is nowhere to be found in this episode, which made me think, was Ryan Guzman at like, was he busy at a men going their own way retreat or something? Was he at like, he was at like men sit around a fire and like listen to Imagine Dragons retreat?
He was spending a lot of time with his masculinity coach.
He was at boy poetry camp.
Yeah. He was like really getting involved with like the local chapter of. I can't say that. Never mind. That what I was going to say is genuinely slander. I'm not going to say that.
Sorry,
but...
we love making fun of this guy. It's so fun.
It's so fun and it's so deserved.
And
but
so
it is.
easy.
It was funny. I actually found myself missing Eddie in this episode. I was like, man, he should be here.
You really don't know what you have till it's gone.
I know. Devastating loss. We begin this call. Wait, we should say who it's written and directed by. I'm sorry.
Yes, so this was directed by
presumptuous.
Kristen Windell, not to be confused with Kristen Rydell. And it was written by Stacey R. Rose, who was behind episodes like... she wrote one later in this season, the Hero Complex episode, which is actually one I like a lot. And let me check. I forget which other one she wrote back in season 4. Oh, she wrote the There Goes the Neighborhood episode, where the kind of Rear Window episode. So I wonder if her thing is writing these kind of one-off like vignette story episodes that aren't as related to the main plot, and like maybe sometimes they're hits and sometimes they're misses.
I just love to see two girl failures coming together to maximize their joint flop.
Literally.
That's really special to me. And I think
representation
really
matters.
made something deeply unspecial.
Women can be flops too.
Representation matters. Women can be flops. We support women's wrongs as much, if not more, than women's rights. Speaking of, no Claudette Collins in this episode, so automatically like 1 out of 10. You know.
But yes, we start with this call in which a man has been buried alive, which you'd think would be spooky.
God.
It's not that spooky.
It's really not. It's probably the lamest like buried alive plot I've ever seen in a TV show.
How do you make buried alive like boring and dry and not scary?
I couldn't think of anything to compare it to directly except for Kill Bill, Volume 2, and the episode of Bones where Bones and what's his name? Hodgins. Hodgins. I was
buried
thinking
alive
Curly.
in the car. Oh, that's like the best episode.
It's like the best episode of the entire show. And like I couldn't not compare this episode to that episode, even though it's unfair, probably. I don't know.
That's like main characters being buried alive, and it's like a whole bottle episode.
And it's amazing. But even in something like there's like direct homages to Kill Bill in this call, and I was just thinking about how much more, even just like visually interesting that was.
I think the closest thing you can compare it to is that Ryan Reynolds movie Buried from 2010.
Oh my God, stop.
Where he's like using his phone light. I never saw this movie, but it feels, I assume it has the same vibe as this opening scene.
Somehow, I've seen that movie. It's awful. Somehow, even that movie has like a higher like level of tension and
I think it got like pretty good reviews.
Drama than this. It's not a good movie. Don't get me wrong. Like it's really slow and meandering, and I don't know how else to describe it, but completely fucking boring. And I know it's a movie about a guy who's buried alive, but you couldn't do something with it. But like even that movie, slog as it is, has a greater sense of urgency than this call with this guy who we don't know and we don't care about.
Yeah.
Until, of course, the very funny twist reveal at the end.
Side note, apparently the movie Buried was written by the same guy who wrote that movie Greenland and its sequel Greenland 2: Migration, the Gerard Butler disaster movies.
Did we invade Greenland? I forget.
I'm sure we'll find out eventually. Yes, so the 118 rolls up and they're like, well, how are we supposed to find this guy Edgar? His name is Edgar. How are we supposed to find this guy if he's buried alive? Also, he's told dispatch that he's been shot. He claims that this happened as the result of a carjacking, which, of course, everyone is skeptical of that. Imagine most high-effort carjacking of all time. They're like, just out of spite, because I don't like your face, I'm gonna shoot you and bury you alive. And take
pettiest
your car.
Fucking carjackers in the world. Honestly, if that was
We're
like a side
what?
quest
I have
in
time
GTA,
today.
Yo, GTA 6 dropped early. Finally, we've been waiting. I didn't even have to buy a PS5. So, first of all, a couple things off the bat. I love the absolutely laziest shortcut I've ever seen for like shorthand for like a Halloween episode. If we name the guy Edgar, it's automatically spooky.
And of course, Edgar Allan Poe famously wrote a story called The Premature Burial, so it's probably a reference to that.
It's so spooky. I'm spooked on Halloween by all these Edgar Allan Poe references.
I'm so scared. So everybody's like roaming around with flashlights. We've got a couple random B shifters on the scene instead of Eddie. I guess Eddie was homesick or something.
Buck breaks out the dowsing machine. It looks like it's a high intensity sound picker upper thing.
It's like it kind of looks like a medieval lance, you know, with like all these kind of levels.
Yeah,
it's a big pointy thing, and I guess it is like a big kind of speaker. He can use it to like a big concentrated boom mic. He can put on the headphones and point it in various directions and hear far away noises. So finally, I don't know why they didn't use like the thermal imaging stuff that they sometimes use on calls. Maybe the writer forgot they had that or didn't want to bother with that. Or maybe there's a reason. Yeah, maybe there's a reason that wouldn't apply here, but I don't see why.
I don't pretend to know how this works. I don't pretend.
May finally is like, okay, 118, if you've got the big sound thingy, why don't I make him make a noise so that you can better detect him? So she tells Edgar, it's funny, she gives him no context for this. I feel like I would be like, why? She's like, scream, Edgar, scream as loud as you can, which I guess that is probably also supposed to be like, ooh, it's Halloween. It's like the Tingler where everybody in the audience has to scream as loud as they can or whatever, but I don't know.
Okay. So May and I took two different approaches with this. I thought what she was going to do was she was going to hook up like her speaker to the call or something and play the loudest song she could think of, like Bang Bang or I Love It. I
also assumed for some reason that she would like play a loud noise out of the guy's phone. But I guess it does make more sense to have him scream, so it'll be louder.
It's more dramatic on camera to do so for sure, but it would be funnier if you know, without context for Edgar, you just hear Charlie XCX going, I crashed my car into the bridge. I don't care.
If she really wanted to play the loudest song ever, she would have just played Demi Lovato's Skyscraper, which of course played at the end of the previous season. That's the loudest song I've ever heard.
Yes, or maybe Do you remember when she was doing the rock stuff for a while? Sorry, they were doing the rock stuff for a while, and they did a Heart Attack. Like rock version of Heart Attack, like just making
I'm not that aware of Demi. Somebody at my
harder.
work the other day was like, "Do you listen to Demi Lovato?" And I was like, "Not since I was like 11." No shade. I have not been listening to Demi Lovato like that, so I'm not very aware of their modern era. But
not even the Glee cast version of "Give Your Heart a Break."
I do remember that one, and I remember Heart Attack, but just because they were like got a lot of radio play, you know.
Putting my defenses up because I don't want to fall in love.
Oh, and they did "Cool for the Summer," right? That's a classic.
"Cool for the Summer," incredible song. Genuinely, I would be so mad if I was an artist and I didn't have that in my discography.
Die for each other. Anyway, they get the guy up. They finally Buck gets the screaming on his boom mic.
Wait, hold on. We're skipping past a couple of things. First of all, Taylor Kelly is live and reporting on the scene.
True.
Very important to note. They let her out of the house. They let her out of the house after like 3 episodes.
That's one thing about this episode I thought you would like, is they did finally let Taylor Kelly out of the cage, out of the cat carrier, and let her roam around. Yes,
they finally let her out. And they gave her some yard time, which we're always grateful for. Also, he starts to freak out while he's in the coffin, right? As
and he starts
does.
trying to punch through the top.
Like he's the bride. But the thing is, he ain't no bride. And so he fails.
And also, I recently watched like a Mythbusters clip where they were testing this exact thing of like, if you punch through the top of a coffin, can you get out, or will you just be crushed or suffocated by the dirt? I think it was Tori was in the coffin in like a buried alive simulator. And I think he actually was able to get out okay, because like, although a good amount of dirt fell on him, it created like a little pocket that he could get up through. So potentially this could work.
It is loose soil, and like if you can I guess the hardest part would be actually getting out, like making a hole big enough to escape from the coffin.
And you'd also probably have to keep calm and try not to inhale, like hyperventilate and inhale a bunch of dirt.
Well, that's why you need to study kung fu in order to before you do it, you know, and spend some time with the legion of snake people. I don't remember what they were called in the movie.
What movie?
The Assassin Squad. The Kill Bill.
I haven't.
Have you not seen Kill Bill? You haven't seen Kill Bill, really?
I kind of made like a moral commitment in college to never watch a Quentin Tarantino movie, and now I don't know if I like still totally hold that type of conviction about that kind of thing. But I still haven't to this day. And I'm not that interested.
Listen, you'll never meet someone who is as put off by Quentin Tarantino's horrible personality as me. But I will say,
I know the movies are good.
Films are good.
You know, I would rather watch like the movies that his movies are ripping off. You know.
I mean, that's fair enough. You could watch any Kurosawa film and probably get more out of it. So.
And I have
just go with God in that regard, but they get him out.
He's not
because
stuck and
Buck
trapped
has his little
anymore.
stick. He's not. He's neither stuck nor trapped, but he is seizing the day. Everyone is seizing the day on this scene.
There's a random bee shifter with bangs. She's got like thick bangs, and apparently her name is Julie. But our buried Edgar is like, "I'm so sorry, Lizzie." And Buck says to her, "I thought your name was Julie," which I think is a really funny line, because him saying, "I thought your name was Julie," kind of implies that he like barely knows her, which, you know, we all knew about the bee shifters, but I just think it's a funnily like kind of insulting line.
Maybe she's new. Maybe this is like her second day on the job or something. I don't know. She looks young. They
would have given her a fun nickname, ribbing her about her intense bangs.
I thought your name was
over here.
I thought your name was Fab, which stands for fuck ass
bangs. Yeah.
But no.
So all we know is he was buried alive, and he's got this Lizzie on the brain,
as one often does. And so Taylor is bewildered. She's buck bothered and bewildered while she's doing her reporting in her fabulous blazer.
Yeah.
And because she's talking about how nobody knows what's going on with the situation, it's very tense and everything. They just wheel the guy past the camera, and she's like, "It appears that they got him out."
Yeah. It
A-list
appears
journalism,
that he has been
Miss
found,
Kelly.
but she saves it really well. Like, she's a great anchor. And then who should show up but McFarie? This is a McFarie episode, you guys. Our detective, whatever his name is. We haven't cared to find out. He shows up on the scene, and I guess, you know, understandably, it's like, this is a criminal investigation now, because how did a guy end up shot and buried alive? So he walks over, he's like, "Where's Bobby?" Bobby meets up with him. He's like, "Glad to see you back on the job, guy that got his throat slit like several episodes ago." And
he does that classic Law and Order line where he like goes up to Bobby and he's like, "What do we got?"
Yeah, and they do the little slow
and Bobby
walk
starts giving
of
him
like,
a brief.
He was calling out to somebody named Lizzie, saying he was sorry. Could have been the wife, a girlfriend. He punched through the coffin, whatever.
And like, if this is ringing any alarm bells in your brain that this is going to be kind of like a lame sort of detective style story of no consequence, hang on to that feeling.
Yeah, you would be right.
It won't be the last time you're going to feel that in this episode. But he does say that this is the stuff of nightmares, which is your spooky line for the episode.
Right. Kind of implies that this episode will be much spookier than it is.
Yeah. And instead we cut to Harry being picked up at school. May is late because she's delinquent. A delinquent sister who cares not for her brother. She's awful.
Harry sees like a parent pickup dad roll up, and he has this vision of Jeffrey. He kind of has a flash in his mind that the driver is Jeffrey. He has some flashbacks, and then of course, you know, the guy's daughter gets in the car and they drive off, and then May shows up. She's like, "Harry, didn't you hear me calling you?" And we can see basically what's being communicated is Harry has very much not healed from his experience, and he's seeing Jeffrey everywhere.
Low-key, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, and I'm watching like this scene with the therapist that immediately follows, and I'm like, I didn't like the storyline to begin with. I appreciate that they're lingering on like the psychological trauma and fallout of it, but like,
and I appreciate that we're like seeing the process of like growth and the family kind of finally opening up to each other by the end of this episode. But yeah, it is like, just because I can recognize that it's a competently written storyline doesn't mean that it's that interesting. It doesn't result
like
in
there's
very
a difference
much.
between appreciating like a depiction of something and being entertained by it. And like, I'm just not entertained by this, what's going on here. Because he's in therapy. His therapist is being very like, "Your father's concerned. You're very brave for what happened, etc. Thank you for coming to see me."
Because as we saw
Harry's
a
like,
flash
"My
of
dad's
in
a
one of the
snitch."
last episodes, Harry has been perusing this website made by like the equivalent of like, you know, Ted Bundy truthers or whatever, who it's a website like "Free Jeffrey Hudson, he did nothing wrong, this rogue cop Athena has killed this guy and gotten away with it." And the therapist is like, "So your dad showed me that you were looking at this frightening website. You're not in trouble, but like, and it's normal to be curious about this guy, but, you know, we're just concerned, trying to communicate with you, whatever."
And he's, you know, resistant to it as he has been before. He's like, "Everyone wants me to just like move on like nothing happened. And nobody is interested in my feelings about it and whatnot." And the therapist is like, "Well, I am. That's the last thing I want is, you know, move on like nothing happened and pretend." And I'm bored. I'm bored.
It's also just like, it's not very entertaining to just watch like a normal, healthy therapy session happen. Much in the same way that, like, you know, if you watched a real life therapy session happen, it wouldn't be very interesting. So Harry does finally confide a little in her. He's like, "I've been seeing him. I see him everywhere." And she's like, "What, in your dreams?" And he says, "No, like just when I'm awake." And you're like, "Okay."
It's like, cool, bro. And then we go to Athena's house, where she's thankfully not hitting her kids. This is like one of our first examples
of a figurative ghost in this story, in parentheses Halloween.
Hashtag creepy AF.
Hashtag creepy AF.
Now, at the Athena household, Athena is like, well, Harry's not talking to me. He only talks to his therapist. And I'm getting shut out. He's looking at these websites with me in the crosshairs. He hasn't said a word to me at all. I'm so frustrated. My therapist is getting mad at me for getting so mad at him about it. And Bobby is still enabling her. And it's girl, I wouldn't open up to you either. You hit him. You hit him, girl.
He's kind of enabling her, but this episode kind of forgets about the fact that she hit him. I do think he's being rather emotionally intelligent. He's kind of telling her the right things, I would say. I do think Athena is showing, I don't want to say narcissism, because I don't, that's a heavy word, but it's sometimes she has this selfishness, and I think this scene is an example. It's she's still not really thinking about Harry's feelings. She's just when is he going to open up to me? I don't care that he's opened up to his therapist, and that's obviously a big step. I want him to talk to me again, and I want him to love me again and stop blaming me, and I'm mad that he's on this website that is mad at me. And
every morning she wakes up before she drives Harry to school, and she says, go in there and make it about you.
Yeah, and I get it. It's hard for her, but I think the lesson she maybe actually needs to learn here is it's not all about her. It's about Harry, and she should work on trying to understand him more than just worrying about his opinion of her or how he treats her. And
that she shouldn't hit him as well.
Yes. And it doesn't
I'm
seem
sorry, I'm going to keep harping on it because the show isn't. And someone has to.
And it seems like those two are not lessons that she really has to learn in this story.
Yeah.
So that's too bad.
That's too bad. But she does say something interesting, which is the tighter I try to hold on to him, the more he slips away. And so this is a very revealing line about her, I guess, approach to the situation. Right? Because we've talked at length about this kind of underlying sense of control that she tries to exert over her children. And it's this fallacy that she keeps falling into where the more she tries to compensate for what they're not giving to her, it just ends up pushing them away and making them feel isolated because she's not actually getting on their level and trying to understand them. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for sure. I just wish that the show had lingered. If it was going to make an arc that was all about lingering on the consequences of something traumatic, it shouldn't also then completely forego the consequences of something that, in my opinion, is also pretty traumatic. Your parent hits you in the face. That's you don't really trust them or open up to them about anything for a long time.
And also her having that line of the harder I try to hold on to him, the more he slips away, you'd think would set up her realizing that she needs to let go a little and maybe ease that death grip and give him a little space or not be so controlling or overbearing. And that doesn't seem to be a lesson that she has to learn either.
Yeah, because the show is kind of, I guess, allergic to lingering on maybe the idea that Athena's not always a great person. Yeah,
could be flawed. But back at the hospital, in the really boring part of the story, McFarie is taking Buried Alive guy's statement, and he's like, so this carjacking story seems like a bunch of bullshit. You say that this guy held you at gunpoint and made you drive into the woods, but you say you don't remember anything after that. And the guy's like, well, sometimes trauma makes your memory fuzzy. So I actually don't remember shit. I don't even remember where I was when I was carjacked. And again, McFarty's like, okay, that makes my job a lot harder. Then who should... Oh, and the guy has a funny line where he's like, oh, I didn't see the guy's face. He had one of those things on, a baklava. And McFarty's like, a balaclava. And it'd be great if the guy was like, no, he had crisp phyllo pastry on his head.
And then McFarty's taking notes oh, what flavor was it? Was it chocolate? was it pistachio?
No, so then who should come in but Radiant Taylor Kelly with a bunch of balloons And she's like, hey, bestie, I would love to hear your side of the story. And Edgar is starstruck. He's like, Taylor Kelly, I'm a big fan of your Channel 8 news reporting. Which
imagine you just got shot and buried alive, and like Rachel Maddow is there like at your bedside with balloons and a bear and is like, can I get you on TV? We need to put you on CNN.
We would all say yes.
We would all say yes. If she was there in her cheap blazer and her pixie cut, just like, so tell me about what happened, clicking her pen. I don't know. I would open up right then and there.
A funny detail in this scene, like staging wise, is that the guy is in the middle of eating a cup of pudding and he has like 3 empty cups of pudding on the table in front of him. I'll give it credit for that. That's kind of silly. Mm-hmm. But Taylor is like...
It's silly, but it's not adequately spooky. It would be spookier if he like opened a cup of pudding and like released like a bunch of ghosts that were trapped in it.
Right, or he opened a cup of pudding and it wasn't pudding, it was full of worms or something. But Taylor Kelly is like, so you were in this accident. Your wife must be pretty worried. And the guy goes, Lizzie. And she's like, yeah, so now we have the information that Lizzie is in fact his wife. And he makes up this extremely obvious lie where he's like, oh yeah, she's on a girls' cruise trip in Alaska.
Right.
That's my favorite destination for a girls' trip. I'm like, yes, let's go ice fishing. And enjoy the barren wasteland.
Taylor immediately clocks that it's an obvious lie because she's smart, and so she's like, "Oh, we can call the cruise ship if she's out of cell service, and then they can track her down because it's a boat, it's a finite area, and she's got to be on it." And then he's like, "No, who cares?" And McFarie's like, "You know what?
Her name, the booking wasn't made in her name." And Taylor's like, "Well, she's still gonna be on the manifest. Like, it's a cruise. If it's a cruise ship, they're gonna have a list of all their guests." And he's like, "No, I'm actually so tired. Can you guys leave?"
If only there was a TV show about a cruise ship that we could watch to understand the inner workings of such a vessel.
That even combined that with a hospital, like we see in this scene.
But unfortunately, as far as I know, no such show exists and never will again.
And if it has, it's been canceled into the grave forever.
And didn't even have Cordova Street in the main cast, so...
So
but anyways, McFartie's like, everybody get out of his fucking room.
Yes, McFartie and Taylor leave the room, and Taylor's immediately like, so that was a bunch of bullshit about the wife, right? Like, neither of us believe that. And she's trying to do a little detective work with McFartie. She's like, what kind of carjacker puts a guy in a coffin? And McFartie, sexist that he is like, oh, did your firefighter boyfriend tell you that? Did a man have to tell you that information? And Taylor's like, no, I was on the scene doing my own detective work. I looked for evidence like Lady Gaga at the Capitol.
At the Capitol.
And, I figured it out myself. I watched your crime scene techs pull the coffin out of the hole. Bitch.
You can't stop the free press, sir. Ossifer.
Yeah. So she tries to offer her help. She's like, I can help you with this. Do you have a theory off the record? And McFartie is like, you can't interfere with this investigation. I'm putting an officer in front of this guy's door in the hospital so that nobody can get in or out. And Taylor's like, oh, is that because you think the alleged carjacker could come back? And McFartie's like, no, I'm worried you'll come back. And I hate women and I don't want you there. I am threatened by
fucking
powerful women.
I hate chauvinistic male assholes so much. It takes one to know one, I suppose. But then, we cut to commercial with Taylor looking all nonplussed by this, and we come back. Who should be the centerpiece of the following scene in his little car with his little baby in the back seat? Oh, it's Chimney Han. He's
finally getting
back.
A Chimney update. Yes,
We're
so
getting a
Hen's
Chimney
on the
update.
phone with him. We hear that because Buck was pretty sure that he heard the bells of the church in Boston on Maddie's phone when he called her, he has told Chimney that she must be in Boston. And Chimney's like, so I'm driving to Boston. And Hen is like, there's a replica of that church in Burbank. And Chimney's like, fuck.
But I'm already in Des Moines. I'm already in fucking Iowa. What the hell?
But he's gonna persevere. just in case.
Okay, I know it's a nighttime shot, but the shot that they use of Chimney driving is so obviously California. It does not pass as Iowa at all.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. He's like, they could have said he's like anywhere with trees and hills, but they went with Des Moines, Iowa for God knows why. And yeah, no, it's like there's that funny line that Hen says about like the one if by land, two if by sea church. That was funny little American history reference for all of my founding father heads. Lin-Manuel Miranda, hey, how are you? And yeah, he's basically just on the hunt for Maddie because he thinks
Buck.
she's in Boston.
They mention Buck, and we get a little shot of Buck in the fire station, like behind Hen. And first of all, he has a clipboard. So
take it away from him.
Yeah, that's what happens when Eddie isn't in an episode, is Buck wrangles himself a clipboard. But that's pretty much the only Buck... Buck is, like, basically not in this episode either.
He's the prop boy this episode. He's the prop boy. He gets the clipboard
he has,
and
like,
he gets the dowsing machine.
Taylor, but that's about it.
Well, I guess. I don't know. He's so ancillary in this episode. That was another thing that I didn't like. I'm like, no, give me some Buck. We didn't have a lot of Buck last episode, and now we don't have a lot of Buck. We have even less Buck this episode. I'm sad.
I was happy
to
see Chimney. I was happy to check in with Chimney, and Hen has some drama of her own going on because she mentions on the phone, I kind of wish I was in Boston right now because guess who contacted me this morning? Eva, my ex. And she wants to meet up and talk.
Eva exists,
station.
Everybody. Eva still exists.
She still
exists.
exists.
And she wants to come to the station. Allegedly, she is out of jail, 2 years sober, and getting her life in order. Huge if true.
But we get another mention of
But she wants to come
ghosts.
to the station.
We get another mention of ghosts. They're like, I wonder what Maddie's up to. I guess she's stuck in the past. She's chasing ghosts. Because that, I think we didn't mention, one of the reasons she might be back in Boston is that's where she and Doug lived, like in his med school days. And Maddie has said that they didn't see a lot of each other at the time, and that was actually like the happiest time in their marriage. So there's a mention of that.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and
I mean,
Hen
not a
is
high
like,
bar.
Hen is like, it sounds like she's chasing ghosts. And then Chimney's like, maybe I am too.
You know, you can't keep just like name dropping the idea of ghosts
and expecting us to be
a Halloween
scared.
episode. Oh my, someone said ghosts. I'm like, oh, no, don't mention that. It's not a Halloween episode. It's not.
But elsewhere at Michael's apartment, May says, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Once again, just because you say goosebumps doesn't mean that I will be scared. Dun, 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 dun. But like, at Michael's apartment... Show
me, like, the creature of Fever Swamp or something.
Yeah, show me, like, the say cheese and die camera. But May is talking to Michael about how she took this buried alive call, and... Listeners, pay attention to the sweater she's wearing in this scene because it is all the colors of the lesbian flag. Which could mean nothing.
Sapphic May crumbs.
She also says, he sounded so scared. Trapped. So there is your trapped quota for the episode.
There is no orange on that sweater.
It's like a pinkish orange and a purple and like a pinkish white. And I think that
There's
counts.
no purple in the lesbian flag.
Well, like a magenta, I don't remember. Okay, I have to admit, sometimes when I identify things as looking like the lesbian flag, it's kind of vague. But listen, I think it counts.
This is an abstraction to the point.
It's an abstraction, but I think if you guys look at this shirt, you will agree with me that it evokes the lesbian flag.
It definitely evokes it. It evokes
and I
the
never
essence
argued
and the idea of the
more
lesbian
than that.
flag. I actually think the purple might be like an element of like bi,
it's not
but
really a purple.
women
It's
leaning.
like a magenta.
Well, but like, you know, because of that element in there, that rogue element, I think it's actually like maybe like a bi but women leaning thing, which is why May Ravi happened, because she's still into fellas, but she likes women more.
Or we could interpret May Ravi as a spiritually sapphic relationship, much in the way that Buddy are a spiritually sapphic relationship.
That's because every man on the show is a woman. Every man on the show is a woman except for Michael.
That's literally so true. Wow, that's like the quote of this episode.
But so they're having this whole conversation about how Harry is traumatized. Meanwhile, Harry's listening in, and it's like, wow, fantastic. I was just paying attention to the amount of organic produce in Michael's home because he has it all on display in a very TV-ready setup. Yeah, so that's more interesting to me than whatever's going on with Harry's nosy ass. And then we go from that brief scene with a Goosebumps mention to who should be at the fire station but Eva. You may have heard of her.
Yes. They have styled her to look a lot healthier than she has in previous seasons. She's looking a lot more conventional. And she is here to tell Hen that she's leaving. She's come to kind of say goodbye to her and try and make amends because she is 2 years sober and she's decided to get a fresh start, leave California. And the trajectory of this scene is basically Hen interprets this as her kind of asking for forgiveness, which Hen does not feel ready to offer. And I think just because of her relationship with Eva and the past, interactions they've had, she probably kind of worries that there's an ulterior motive for every interaction they have. So it just seems like, she is not able to really accept this contrition and this attempt to make amends. She says to her, she's like, oh, I get it. I'm one of your steps, like the make amends, the atonement step. And
Aisha puts in the work in this episode.
She does. She starts crying in a very natural way. These like angry tears.
It feels very real and very grounded. It's probably the most interesting part of the episode is the Hen and Eva Karen sort of situation.
Yeah.
There's a Denny mention, because Eva is talking about how Hen, is such a great person, and part of her remorse for having hurt her so bad is that, Hen is a truly remarkable person. She never, she took in Eva's kid and never hurt him or never took out her pain on him. And then Hen's like, how do you know that? Did you talk to Denny? And she's like, no, but I know you. And I know who you are and what's going on. And Hen, she is trying to be very mature about this. She genuinely wishes her well on like the next phase of her life. But there is this underlying thing of, I can't forgive you for everything that happened. And I don't want you to be a part of my life. I don't want you to be a part of Denny's life. Absolutely. Healing is going to take a while. Right.
Yeah.
And Eva has a very mature reaction to this too.
She does, and she ends the scene by walking away and saying, if Denny ever asks about me, just tell him the truth. Which is, I think, yes, a mature thing to say, but clearly they're both left kind of emotionally shaken by the conversation.
I really appreciated that, actually. I appreciate that she didn't try to get in a dig or like a power grab or anything. It was actually just a very grounded approach to this kind of interaction. Not spooky. Not spooky, but definitely but definitely mature. And sort of a reminder that, this show is well equipped to deal with complex adult emotions when it takes the time to do so.
Which makes it all the more frustrating when it's not doing that.
Yeah, I'm saying, it just draws more attention to poorly handled storylines. But I guess that makes us appreciate the well-handled ones all the more. Now, granted, Hen does take the opportunity to then become Henrietta Wilson, ruiner of her wife's lovely evening.
Because she gets home and Karen is in full idyllic housewife mode, even though she's not a housewife, to be clear. She has an incredible scientist job, but she is literally fluffing up the pillows in their bedroom when Hen walks in. She's like, how was your shift? So great to see you. And Hen was like, it was weird. And Karen's like, oh, person's face fell off weird. And Hen's like, no, Eva came to work and she was apologizing and she wanted me to forgive her. Karen, and it's
I'm not to mention Kill Bill so many times in this episode, but it is when the bride makes eye contact with one of her former colleagues and you see the red flashing and the sirens and everything going off in Karen's brain that Eva mentioned.
Yes. She instantly if she was a cat, her airplane ears would be, her ears would be back. And she's starts to kind of see that Hen is somehow still kind of giving Eva this benefit of the doubt that Karen thinks is typical of their relationship and Hen's kind of weakness for Eva. And yeah, Karen is clearly hurt by this. She's like, she always does this to you. You always like believe it when it happens, whatever. And
it has this immediate defensiveness. She's like, this isn't really a fair response. And Karen's like, fair. You cheated on me with her. Lest we forget the hallowed ground that is 911 season 1.
Yes.
If you want to know our thoughts on that storyline, we covered that a while ago.
We did.
Do you ever think about like when we were covering season 1 and it's like, wow, that was like a fucking lifetime ago. It was so long ago, dude.
It was. I had a UTI back then.
Oh my God.
Karen finally is like, do you really think she's leaving town? And Hen's like, yeah, like I believe her. She seemed sincere. And that makes Karen angry. She's like, that is why I can't trust you. So I don't think Karen's being wholly rational here. I mean, it's kind of rational and irrational. It's like rational in the sense that she does have reason to be worried whenever Hen meets up with Eva. Because, yeah, you never know at this point. Once she cheats once, it's like, you'll never know, right? But also, I think the interaction with Eva was innocuous. But yeah, I understand why she would be. And I think Eva kind of deserves, like, once in her life that opportunity to try and make amends. But yes, I do understand why Karen would not be into this or not really trust this to go well.
I mean, it's hard to be rational when the other woman pops back into your wife's life. You know what I mean? So I understand what she's dealing with in this moment. And I think her reaction, we're not like... we're not stoics. Like, we understand that, like, this is like, it may not be like rational, but it's certainly reasonable.
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna be like, she really let emotions take over in this scene over facts and logic. But speaking of emotional things, Chimney is in Boston and he's exiting a parking garage when he sees a woman take her lifeless baby out of the back seat and start freaking out. So Chimney runs over because he's a paramedic, as you might recall. And he's like, what happened? And she's like, my baby, he just like, we were on a ride. We were just driving home from the aquarium and he's not breathing anymore. And he's got like blood coming out of his nose. I think we like never find out what happened to him in this scene, but I'm curious. I'm like, what would cause this?
I mean, babies are, the shit happens
fragile.
All the time.
They're always just
They're
like
fragile.
doing stuff for no reason.
I mean, he even asked the mom, like, did you like make any sudden stops in the car? Like, was there like, did it get rattled in some way? And she's like, no, it was a completely normal drive. So yeah, this is one of those things that makes me afraid to have a kid. Yeah. So I'm like, what if it just explodes?
But luckily he does some CPR and gives some rescue breaths and the baby does wake up. And then the actual paramedics show up and who should it be but Eli, who you probably don't remember, but back in Chimney Begins, this was the guy who trained Chimney, one of his fellow paramedics who was kind of the first person at the 118 to like take pity on him and take him under his wing. And I guess he's moved to Boston. And so he's like, hey, looks like somebody trained you well. And Chimney's like, Eli, my first love. And
Eli's like,
scene.
hey, Howie, yeah. What are you doing in Boston? And Chim's like, just chasing ghosts, long story. But Halloween. Yeah. What if the baby was actually just having like its first encounter with like just an incredible queen out moment? Because the mom mentions that they just got back from the aquarium. And I don't know if y'all have been, but Boston Aquarium is unparalleled. It is so good. Probably the best aquarium I've ever been to in my life.
So good that babies' brains just like combust when they see it.
I would. Mine basically did. They like, you walk in and immediately there's this like beautiful like open air sort of indoor display for like rock hopper penguins, like an indoor habitat. And it's like, it's so cute. You get to just like hang out with the penguins. Hey guys. Hey. They're like, wah. And then you get to see all these different, there's like this spiral you can walk up where you can see like a barracuda and like a sea turtle and a bunch of fish. It's so cool. And then you get to the top and like one of the handlers will do like little demonstrations with one of the really cool and rare and awesome sea animals, you know? So I think that Baby just had a really fucking good transformative time and like didn't yet have the wherewithal to like handle it. You know what I mean? And maybe that's
so
a strike against the mom.
His heart stopped. Yeah, that's too
the mom
bad.
should have accounted for that when she took the baby to the Boston Aquarium.
Yeah,
she was like, look at all these fish, and it's like, girl,
so
the danger.
much cool at one time.
You know?
But luckily
it's
that
like,
situation
it's like taking
has been
your
handled.
baby to a Linkin Park concert.
Luckily, that situation has been handled, and Chimney is reconnecting with an old friend. And back at the police station, McFarie is, I don't know, working on the case. And Athena comes up and she's like, welcome back to work. And also, I heard you caught yourself a real head scratcher. And McFarty's like, yeah, I guess. This guy was buried alive. And Athena says she heard it from Taylor Kelly. Heard you two really got into it at the hospital. You posted a guy. They keep saying uni. I had to look this up. It's just short for like a police officer, a man in uniform, which is like.
Is it supposed to be like, oh, it's for uniform? I thought it was for unit. And I'm like, that's not any shorter. That's one letter shorter. It's the same syllable
short for
count.
Uniform, which like, is it that much harder to just say officer? You posted an officer outside the. Anyway, whatever. Yes.
I mean, cop is shorter. Cop is literally a shorter word than uni.
Right.
But whatever. It's fine.
They start cutting between Tuck, while Taylor is
everlasting.
Like, yes, Taylor is doing her investigating out loud while Buck is, I don't know, chilling in the background.
Okay, so she's doing the investigating, and while she's doing that, she's drinking from a can of. So it's presented as like knockoff Red Bull, but you guys have to understand the way they disguise the Red Bull logo is so fucking funny.
It looks very amateurish.
Like, it's like student film. They like printed another logo over the logo, but they kept the iconic like
shiny,
blue stripes.
But the logo looks matte, like it is just like a piece of printer paper. But
it's like what they do on reality TV shows to cover up brands.
Yeah, but they're kind of contrasting, I guess, McFarty and Taylor, because you know, we have her take a sip of her not Red Bull, and then as she like puts it down, it like match cuts to McFarty putting down his cup of coffee. So I wonder what they're trying to communicate here, that Taylor is like the new scrappy, more artificial, I don't know, thing, versus McFarty is like the old school, tried and true detective who drinks black coffee. I don't know. I'm not interested in whatever. I'm like not really here for whatever dichotomy they're trying to set up there.
It's the great Gen X millennial war is what's happening.
Yeah.
It's the youths are coming for you, McFarty, and you need to get with the times because there's a new world coming, you know?
But they're both going through this case and like coming to similar but slightly different conclusions.
Well, they come to different ultimate conclusions because they dig up different details, like, oh, you know, so he took out 3 life insurance policies in his wife's name and we can't find her. So it's like immediately you're like, oh my God, he murdered her. And then she's like, okay, so she got pissed that he took out 3 life insurance policies and a mailman witnessed her saying, you know, I don't care about the money. I just want you dead, etc. And so they come to this conclusion that Taylor thinks that the wife ordered a hit on him, and McFarty thinks that the husband ordered a hit on her.
Who's in the right?
Detectiving.
Yeah, there's a lot of like details in there that they go through, and like I can't really be bothered to list all of them, and I assume you can't either.
It's like, who cares? Who
literally
cares?
Who cares?
I don't. The ultimate point is that they're working towards similar but different ends because their investigations have brought them, and their investigative methods have brought them to different conclusions.
What we actually care about is that Karen is pulling up to Eva's place.
Yes.
And Tracy Toms is about to earn her paycheck for like the entire season.
And And so she rolls up to Eva's motel with the nice pink gates and whatnot, and she's like,
Yeah,
you're
it looks
really
like
getting
it's
out
supposed
of
to be
town.
affordable housing, but it's like a weirdly adorable and clean and well-maintained.
Very adorable.
Like beautiful facade on this. It has
With a
sort
nice
of that
lamp.
style that a lot of affordable housing has, with sort of the like big solid guardrails on these levels of apartments. But yes, it's
And
like
Eva
very
seems like she has her
whimsical and
stuff
beautiful.
together. She has two faggy lamps behind her, not one but two. Kurt only had one. And Karen's like, "You're really getting out of here." And she's like, "Do you want to see the lease on my new apartment in Portland?"
In
And
Portland,
it's
which
like,
I was like,
course
"Oh,
she's
I'm
moving to
sure."
Portland.
Yeah,
I'm
like likely
sure
place
she's
for
moving
this
to Portland.
bisexual woman to move.
All tatted up. I bet she's. I don't know what she's gonna do there. Maybe she's gonna work at Voodoo Donuts. In
Yeah, she'll
Portland,
probably
Oregon.
like work at a trendy donut shop, or like me, maybe she'll go into the organic grocery store business. Maybe she'll
I could see
like,
her being like,
be a tattoo
what if I work
artist.
with animal rescue? Ooh,
Yeah.
tattoo artist also.
Recovering
Animal rescue
addict
and tattoo
who
artist.
is like a vet tech would also would
Yeah.
track.
Maybe she tattoos the animals.
My lesbian friend from high school literally lives in Portland and is a vet tech, I'm pretty sure.
Stop. Stop.
Shout out to my bestie Kara. Love you.
Oh my god.
I don't think
Shout
she
out
listens
Kara.
to this podcast, but
Do you want to so have you ever tried to like show this podcast like even just like as a joke to like one of your IRLs?
honestly not really. They're like aware that I have it, but I have no idea if any of them have listened to it or not.
Same. But like I was at D&D yesterday and we were enjoying the sun. We were up on the roof hanging out, having a good time. And my friend Abigail says to me, you know, Ryan, I think it's so fun that you're like doing the podcast circuit and whatnot. Like I love this for you. You have such a good podcast voice. And my friend Kat was I don't even remember how we got on this conversation topic. But like my friend Kat is like, yeah, it's surreal because I only think of you as like my nerd friend who I play D&D with, etc. And so I pulled out the intro for our last episode that that you came up with that was comedic gold, and it killed.
Nice.
And it was a fun little reminder, like, oh, this is kind of a cool, fun thing that we do every week. It is like a thing that people listen to in the world and whatnot.
So true.
It's like a thing that exists.
I'm always
you know?
shocked to when I think about that.
We have listeners.
We do. Shout out to our listeners. But
Yes.
Karen is at
First
Eva's place.
Respodcast Army.
First Respodcast Army. Shout out to the First Respodcasters. Karen has confronted Eva, who is like, Hen meant a lot to me because, you know, she always believed in me, and I thought I would come confront her recently because there was a time when Hen would have been really proud of me for getting clean. And Karen's like, I see. So you wanted her to be proud of you again. And Eva's like, you really don't have to worry about me. You know, I'm leaving for good. And Karen's like, I've been worried about you since the third date when Hen told me all your history. And I could see like how raw and terrible her hurt was. And I wasn't sure if I should like get closer to her or run because she was like shackled to this really intense, you know, kind of twin flame relationship that might catch up to her again. And she says like every time Eva has come back into their lives, like when she called Hen to tell her she was pregnant with Denny, Karen always thought like, okay, this is it. This is the point when Hen's going to leave me for her. And she's kind of always had that fear in the back of her mind. She associates Eva coming back into their lives with like losing Hen. So again, Tracy Thoms earning her check so bad in this scene.
Earning her check. So fucking good. This is such a good Henren like acting episode. I was really, really happy to see that. And
but she
Eva
says,
something
there's this like
interesting.
There's
to
this
Karen.
like insane line where she's like, the two most important people in my life, like the two people I love the most, both belong to you first. And like, you know, that's why I always have this insecurity. But Eva, in her healthy, mature era, is like, she reassures Karen, she's like, Hen's never gonna leave you because she loves you more than me, period.
And it's like, period, it's really good. And they sort of reach this mutual understanding where they say what they need to say. And that's that on that. And then we're back to the McFarie Taylor Kelly detective scene. But there's a twist, because there is implicated in this crime is an ex-Marine named Tom, right? He ran into some trouble a few years back. He did a stint at Lompoc. I don't know what that is. Probably a prison. But the financial trails are implicating him in this crime. And so McFarie is going to this motel where he, the presumed hitman, is staying. Right. Meanwhile, he gets there across from a Shell station. Shout out to Shell Oil. And runs into Taylor Kelly with the news van. With the news van.
Yes.
And, he's like, you're about to walk into a room with a crazy, dangerous hitman with a gun. And she's like, no, I'm about to walk into the room where Lizzie is. And he's like, what? And then they open it up, and who's in there? Oh my God, it's the dad from Wizards of Waverly Place.
Well, first, it's Lizzie. So Taylor Kelly was right, and she totally detective mogged McFarie. But yes, the other person in this case, Tom, is the dad from Wizards of Waverly Place. I forget, is it
Jerry?
David DeLuise?
Jerry!
I think he's one of the sons or nephews of Dom DeLuise. He's been around in plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
But who should also
TV
be
actor.
here, disguised as a pizza delivery man, but
also
Edgar,
with a gun.
the guy who was buried alive. And
also with a gun, Mr. Edgar. Yeah.
For once in this episode, we get like a line that the audience can empathize with, where Taylor and McFarie in unison go, "I'm so confused." And it's like, yeah, so am I. What is this episode? What is this detective plot? It's so weird and like not very interesting. Taylor's the news.
Like doing the news, yeah, and like McFartie's interrogating them, and they're basically just trying to put it together. So basically, what had happened was there was this guy Edgar and his wife Elizabeth, and they were going through some financial troubles. And there's Mr. Tom Gladden. Now, they had a very unhappy marriage. Y'all know how this goes. It's not great. And so he says, so in order to get out of my financial troubles and to get my bitch wife out of my life, what if I hire Tom from the hardware store to murder her after I take out 3 life insurance policies on her and collect the checks?
Do you think he even tried?
Plan.
Do you think he even tried like asking for a divorce first? Or did he go straight to hiring a hitman and taking out life insurance policies?
Do you know how egotistical a lot of straight people in marriages are? Like, divorce is like a worst case scenario. It's worse than death. Like, fucking Daniel Sloss had to go on his fucking stand-up special and break up hundreds of thousands of couples by saying, have you ever thought about how much easier it would be life if your partner just died, right? You're probably not in a happy relationship.
Yeah.
And, like that's what is the mindset of these kinds of guys. They're like, I can't get a divorce because then I'm a loser. Or she's like, I can't get a divorce because then what did Athena call herself in that situation? Like a tramp or something? And like,
I mean, Athena at least had like some valid like cultural, I don't know, like she was worried about what her parents would think and stuff, and she had this added baggage of like her husband left her for a man, quote unquote, so it's kind of like a different
Imagine
stigma
if Athena
there.
tried to have him killed. Imagine if she tried to have him killed.
That would be awesome, low-key.
Michael, you're done. Michael,
that's how Michael
it's over
leaves the show
forever. Oh my God, Athena kills Michael.
But yeah, Tom agreed to do this because he was having financial troubles of his own. He was living in his van, and he doesn't seem like the brightest.
He's played by Jerry from Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yes, he doesn't seem like the brightest guy. He seems
life.
like, he was kind of manipulated and mansplained by these people. But when he was asked to kill the wife, he started kind of staking out the house and spying on the wife. And the minute he saw her, he was like, she's too hot for me to murder. Now, let's talk about the music choice here, because the show, I've had a bone to pick with this for years. The show decides to drop Puccini's Mio Babino Caro, which is an aria from, I think it's Gianni Schicchi is the opera, a comic one-act opera. This is the most famous song from it by far. This
that
song,
Timothée Chalamet didn't see.
Yeah. Sorry to Timothée Chalamet, you're not going to like this episode. This song, this aria, it is about love. Like, a lot of it is her talking about how much she loves her paramour or whatever. But the framing of it is she's talking to her father, saying, like, begging him to allow her to pursue this relationship with the guy she loves. And, you know, that's what Mio Babino Caro, it's like, my dear father.
I'm in trouble, dear Papa, don't preach.
Pretty much. Except it's like, Mio Babino Caro.
Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble, dear Papa, don't preach.
Okay, couldn't really get there. I would have to clear my throat.
Sleep.
But basically, it's a song about talking to your dad about wanting to date a guy. And I just don't get why they use it for this moment where it's supposed to be like, I'm seeing a beautiful girl and falling in love with her at first sight. I just think there are a lot of arias out there, a lot of them about love, and I just think this is emblematic of an ignorance of the material and a laziness in picking a choice here. It's clear that they just like clicked on the first aria that came up or something rather than picking an appropriate choice. And I don't like when media is like lazy and inconsiderate of the like thematic implications of the peripheral media they're using.
Okay, but Jane,
in their work.
have you considered that nobody sees opera and ballet anymore?
True. So true that those are dying art forms that Timothée Chalamet doesn't respect. I just think this is lazy. Unless they were going for some sort of Freudian thing where, like, Wizards of Waverly Place dad sees the woman as, or sees Edgar as a father figure, and he's like, the song represents him, like, going to Edgar spiritually and asking for permission to date his wife, which I kind of doubt was the intention. So all I'm saying is it's a lazy choice. And, like, I see you, 911 editor. You can't fool me by just playing an opera aria and expecting us to think, oh, it's opera, so it must be a beautiful, thematically appropriate song.
I'm out of breath right now because I just carried in my big, heavy, expensive new record player that I bought with my tax returns.
Well, maybe you can listen to some Puccini on it.
Honestly, I probably won't even go that classy. I'll listen to, like, Carole King.
Well, anyhow, what we get from this is that the guy actually fell in love with the wife and therefore decided to tell her everything about the murder plot because he thought that the husband was, like, wrongly doing this to her. And
okay, the point is they're all going to jail. They're all going to jail. None of them have their lawyer's presence. They're all confessing.
The wife admits, well, the point here is the wife admits that she actually then, you know, Uno reverse card, got the guy to agree to kill her husband for her instead. You know, the original plan was to her husband to have her killed. And because the guy was in love with her, he agreed. She says that she even, like, had sex with him to, quote unquote, like, pay him, which is weird. But basically...
Poor Jerry. Poor Jerry, you can only get any under those circumstances.
Yeah, and the husband, I don't know, it's this whole thing. Basically, the hitman ends up telling the husband that he's done the job, that he's killed the wife, and he's like, you're just gonna have to come and meet me in the scary woods to see proof that she's dead. And instead he leads him to an empty open grave and shoots him and leaves him there buried alive. But of course he wasn't actually dead, and I guess the guy didn't take his phone, so he called 911.
And
now we're in this mess.
And that's spooky. It's all spooky. It's very spooky. It's very Halloween pilled. You know what I mean? And so they sign their statements. And then that's that. And one presumes that they all go to jail for various crimes. and that's it, and that's that on that, and everyone dies. And now we're back in Boston, and it's not being destroyed by Godzilla and King Ghidorah. It's actually a very lively Irish pub with the big Irish tricolor on the wall. Eli and Chim are catching up about Ji Yun, about Maddie, their whole
St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. Chimney is going to be here for, well, it's Halloween now, and the St. Patty's thing is when it starts to wrap up. So he's going to be here for a minute. He's going to be here for a minute because what's happening is they're catching up on each other's lives. There's a Columbo mention, and Eli starts spitting absolute fire because Chimney's walking through the whole situation with Maddie, talking about all the things that, he could have done better, and why he's like going after her and whatnot. Feels like he's carrying the world on his shoulders, and he feels like a failure because he's letting his kid have all these milestones in these motel rooms while he's trying to track down his wife. And Eli is saying, Maddie leaving wasn't your fault, right? She has this horrible burden that she's carrying around where she feels like she's worthless, like she's awful. And if you find her and you walk in looking strung out, like you haven't had a shower in a month.
Yeah, this is such a funny roundabout way of just telling Chimney he looks completely chopped.
He looks so chopped. He looks chopped and bad. And Eli's saying, if you walk in there looking greasy and ratty and absolutely desolate, then it's just going to confirm all of those horrible thoughts going on in Maddie's head, and it's only going to make the situation worse. Chopped. Right? Like, not only am I the worst mom in the world, but I also drove my husband to the absolute brink of floppitude. Mm-hmm. And she did.
Chimney drove himself there.
And so he literally did. He drove him and his baby there.
He drove himself in a car to Floppitude.
And so Eli says, you don't give up. You don't turn around and go home. You just take a chill pill, man. Just like smoke a doobie, pop on some like Legally Blonde and just relax for like a sec.
Yeah. Now Harry, back at Michael's place, sneaks out of the house under the cover of night.
Okay, and then there's a very interesting needle drop in this scene because
I didn't know
this scene is set. It's set to "Everything in the Right Place" by Radiohead. I don't think it has anything to do with Harry's situation, but it is ambient. I guess that's probably why they chose it, just because the sound. I guess the soundscape fit with the vibe they were going for in the scene.
The point is, Harry got on a city bus and he rode all the way to where Jeffrey took him that night, to this abandoned housing development. I guess it was close enough to home that there's a single bus line in LA that will take him all the way there. Unless
kind of a socialist hero for going on, public transportation.
Good for him for knowing how to use public transportation at his age and stuff. He clearly competently uses it. He opens up this gate and he gets in and he goes back to the specific house he was in. Did you notice that some of the graffiti on the wall that's very central in one of the shots says Doug?
Said Doug.
Was that
yes.
Surely that's intentional. Is that just to add a layer of unease to the scene? I was kind of confused by that.
I don't know.
It seemed almost a bit tasteless.
It's a brand. Yeah, but yeah.
Maybe it was to remind us once again of ghosts from the past. But this big, cheery graffiti tag, it's painted in the colors of the pansexual flag. and it just says
God. What is this telling us about Doug? What is this telling us about Doug? This is why he was such an evil man, because he couldn't accept himself and he was taking it out on the women in his life.
So I just thought that was a weird choice, and I wanted to mention it.
Yes, but we don't have time to linger on the Doug of it all, because it turns out while this housing development project has been in a state of urban decay, the wood has begun to rot, and Harry falls through the floor, screaming an embarrassing little scream like the little boy that he is.
Okay,
and
it's not embarrassing to be
mom.
a child and scream like a child when you fall through a floor. But yes, he calls mommy, and she, puts away the McFarie case to come help Harry, because he calls her up and he's like, Mom, I'm in trouble. I did something real dumb. I went to the Jeffrey house. Don't be mad at me. And she's like, I'm not mad. I'm just worried. Tell me where you are. Like, I'll come get you. So she does. She leaves work. She goes full lights flashing. She and McFarie drop everything to go find him. It's kind of weird.
They try to do this like tense editing in this scene where they're like trying to, I guess it's very reminiscent of like season 5 episode 3, but there's no stakes and there's no tension here because it's just like, oh, he fell through the floor, he probably broke his leg,
Yeah,
that's probably the extent of it.
He hurt his shoulder. I thought it was a little weird that they didn't call like fire and rescue, because McFarie is just like, oh, I'll go down there and grab him, but it's like, you don't know. Like, that's why they use, like, the backboards and the C-collars in like, why paramedics use them. Is, like, you don't know what he's injured falling down there. And you would think, especially Athena, being in law enforcement, might be like, let me do this the right way and make sure he's, make sure everybody's safe here. You don't know that McFarie, in trying to rescue him, wouldn't also fall through the floor. Just
imagine he's, like, staked through the knee by, like, some crazy metal shit. Like, he's that guy from season 2 of The Walking Dead.
Never
and like
watched it.
They don't have fire and rescue there, and they're like, oh my god, we should have called Bobby. But McFarie, no, that doesn't happen. McFarie gets down there like he's Scott McCall in Teen Wolf the movie, and he just pulls him out.
So true. So
he just pulls him out, and there's the end of that tension, and he's fine. He probably has a bruise.
The point here is not to do like a Harry near-death experience, but to do a Athena and Harry finally have a resolution, because Harry's
then why is it edited like a Harry near-death experience?
Yeah,
why is it edited like that?
Because it is still a tense moment, I guess. And Harry is like, were you working? Because of course his insecurity has been like, you care more about being a cop than being a mother. And Athena's like, it doesn't matter. You always come first. So I guess that's good for them to have that realization. But as we said before, it doesn't really fully get at all of the problems they've been having. But I guess maybe they were tired of this too. And
imagine if Athena was so mad at Harry for falling through the floor at the house that he went back to that she just hits him again.
The slap.
She was so mad.
Yeah. But she... That's that scene.
Sunrise happens. Karen is waiting for Hen in bed with so many candles.
With a ton of candles. Just like 50 candles. Which leads to a funny moment where Hen's like, what's all this? And Karen is like, don't worry, there's a fire extinguisher under the bed just in case. Because I can't imagine if you're a firefighter and you come home to this, you'd be like, I'm not going to be able to focus on our romantic evening because I'll be too busy thinking about all of the polyester in our sheets that's about to melt. But yes, Karen is like, I went to see Eva too. I don't want to be mad anymore. I don't want to be looking backwards at ghosts anymore. Visiting Eva made me realize that she's always been this kind of specter, you could say. That's my choice of words, not hers, but this ghost between us. And, it's not just you and her, but it's also me. I have not been able to let go of that. And I want to move past that and finally let her not be an obstacle in our relationship anymore. And Hen reassures her that she loves her, and presumably we get finally a romantic scene between Hen and Karen, I guess. But we cut away, so who knows? And
it's nice to see Hen and Karen being romantic and not being totally absorbed in drama. For
being
once,
allowed to
a very
touch
nice
each
resolution.
other. Yeah,
and presumably they fuck hard. And then speaking of fucking hard, back at Buck's loft, he's climbing into bed with Taylor, and he's like, I didn't expect you to still be working. And she's like, well, I work in the news. There's always another story.
No, yeah. So. Buck is like, it seems like there's always another story to work on. And Taylor's like, that's the way the news works.
That's the job.
Funny.
You should watch it sometime.
Yeah, Buck is like, since when does reporting the news include randomly confronting a killer? I think this scene is so dumb. Because Buck very hypocritically is like, I don't like that you're risking your life on the job. And Taylor, you know, I get it that it doesn't always seem like her news aims are super scrupulous, you know?
Yeah.
But in this scene, what she's saying is correct. She's like, yeah, sometimes like investigative journalism can be dangerous, but it's very important that people get to know the truth about what's going on. And like, I feel like there's an implied thing here, maybe that the show doesn't realize, but with this juxtaposition they've done between her and McFarie of like these two, the official investigation and Taylor's unofficial one, there's to me an implied thing of like, sometimes the official channels of law enforcement will not tell people the truth. And, you know, it's important for her to get to the bottom of things, too. And Buck is being all like, I don't like that. And like, why is it so important to you? And it's like, bro, first of all, you are the king of risking your life on the job for no reason.
Yeah.
And, you know,
he even
why
acknowledges
is it bad?
this. Like they lampshade like Buck's hypocrisy in this scene.
He's like, pot me a kettle, I know. And it's like, it doesn't seem like you do know.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It really seems like
just,
he only judges it in Taylor because she's a dainty woman.
But Taylor, I mean, she's very strong in her convictions. She looks him in the eye and very strongly says to him, the truth is worth everything, Buck. Everything.
And also,
he's like, what does that
before
mean?
she
You have
says
depth?
before she says that, he says to her, oh, you know, a wife wants to kill her husband and the husband wants to kill her wife. How is that worth your time, much less your life? And it's like, bro, that's her job. She's a news.
It's her job.
What do you mean?
It's her
How is
career.
that worth your time? Why is
It's
I
like
don't
her
know,
passion.
Why is
It's-
the weather report? Why is the weather forecast worth your time? I don't know, because people have a right to know things about the world and what's happening. This is so
Imagine
bizarre.
saying this to like a construction worker, like is climbing
so
up in
the
that
building
crane.
has to get
So many
constructed.
Really,
Why is
like
that your-
is it
worth
worth
your
your
time?
life? And it's like, it's my job.
I would
It's
have
what
turned around
I
to
do.
Buck. I would have turned around to Buck and been like, oh, so a building's on fire. Why is that worth your time, much less your life? Like, I don't know, bitch. Why does anyone do anything? So this is like perhaps the most annoyed I've ever been at Buck. And it's just this little scene.
It was very annoying, and it's sad that this is like the one scene he gets in the entire
Yeah.
episode. Like the one real scene of
feels
Buck.
weirdly, I guess it's triggering me because it feels weirdly like charged by gender to me, where it's like totally just
Yeah.
this false dichotomy of like, well, I'm a big strong man, so it's noble and cool of me to go risk my life, but you're just a little woman, and also news and information aren't worth anything, so it's bad for you to do risky things for it. Like,
It's
fuck
like
you.
weirdly patriarchal. It's like weirdly patriarchal in a way that like Buck
He's like-
hasn't really shown like a tendency to
it doesn't even
be
feel in character
until
for him.
now.
It'd be one thing
Yeah.
if he was like mad at her for like, I don't know, kind of getting information in seedy ways or whatever, but that doesn't even seem to be, he seems to be just annoyed that she is trying to gather information at all. It's like you're expecting him to be like, why can't you just get a job as like a elementary school teacher, or perhaps stay at home with the kids all day?
Or a lawyer, you know, because the three jobs that women are allowed to have are lawyer, teacher, and mom.
I don't think he would like that in this context, because being a woman lawyer means you're a woman trying to gather information about things.
That's true. That's true.
And, you know, use your brain.
What if she's an
and do
Annalise
research
Keating
and-
type, where, you know, she will like, you know, gather her students to go and they'll all do like very dangerous investigations that involve multiple people dying. You know, what if it involves
Well, that's
this whole
neither here
web
nor there.
where
But-
Buck ends up being murdered because of his involvement in an affair with a woman who looks a lot like her.
who happens to be played by the same actress. But yes, it feels like he's asking her to just like, yeah, like, why can't you have a more docile woman job? And I think that's very strange. But the purpose of this scene,
Like Eva.
the purpose of this scene actually is like, she's supposed to be reacting like in an overly strong way, and Buck is like, why did you react so emotionally about that? Again, it's like, God forbid women do anything. But what this is actually setting up is something with Taylor, like in her personal life, and why she decided to become a reporter and why she feels the need to do this like detective work. But we don't know that at this point, so it kind of just seems like Buck's being really dismissive of his girlfriend's line of work.
Unfortunately, that is the case. But it's setting up something for Taylor, which we'll learn down the line. Taylor has a big storm coming, so I guess we'll just let her have this moment of peace where Buck is asleep beside her while she's on her laptop, because we get a montage with no narration, thankfully. They seem to have phased out the narration for a while.
First, McFarie has a little moment with Harry where he admits that he too is traumatized by what happened to him at the hands of Jeffrey, and he commiserates, and he's like, I see Jeffrey everywhere too. And
oh my god, I literally don't care.
No, okay, so are you okay, sure, we'll just skip that. Sure. You get the idea. It's like a 30-second
I don't
scene.
care. I don't care about McFarty's trauma. I'm sorry.
Okay, but this is a recap podcast, and our job is to recap, even if we don't like it all the time. But yes, montage free of narration. Taylor Kelly researching some murder somewhere, and McFarty telling Harry that confronting your fear is brave or whatever. And then also Hen and Ren are in bed. And also Chimney is still driving, which doesn't really make sense because I thought he was going to stay in Boston. Where's he driving
Maybe he's
to?
Driving around Boston. Where is he going?
Maybe he's driving like home to Eli's house in Boston.
Oh my god, they're gonna fuck. He and Maddie are on a break. The worst part about this montage is that it's set to a song by American dad rock band The Foo Fighters, a band that I cannot stand. And so like by this point I was completely checked out. Like, I know it's supposed to be very deeply meaningful, especially for Harry's character, to find community with someone else who went through something and actually find understanding with the whole Jeffrey thing. But the Foo Fighters of it all just really kills me.
Okay, but the final thing to understand is that he finally hugs Athena, and also he says he wants to come home, like to the actual house that he hasn't been to since the event, since the accident. And so he comes to the house, and Bobby, Michael, and May are all standing there on the patio. And the like lens flare lighting in this scene, it kind of gives the impression that this is supposed to be like a heaven montage after Harry has died. And it's like, oh, all the people I love are here, and it's sunny out, and the lens is flaring, and everything's going to be all right, but in almost like an eerie way. But no, it is real life, apparently.
Imagine if that was the original cut. Imagine if that was the original cut of the episode. Harry actually died down there, and this is him.
He was never
his
found.
Last vision of life.
Wow.
And so he's
twist.
like, and so in heaven he's like, let's go to the cookout, and I'll tell you all what happened to me.
Okay, I actually just came up with a better version of this storyline. So we go about the whole season as we have been. Harry gets rescued, but he and Athena are having all these problems. She slaps him, and then at the end of this episode, when she goes back to the house, instead of finding Harry, she finds Harry's mummified corpse in the wall. And she still tied up, and she realizes he actually did die that day. And sorry, this is kind of dark, but I'm enjoying coming up with it. He did die that day. And all of this like emotional stuff in the aftermath has been her own grief-induced hallucinations. And maybe they could have written the like Bobby and Harry stuff to be a little more like vague, where like you could interpret it as Harry being alive, but actually if you go back and watch it, you're like, oh, nobody else ever actually mentions Harry like being in the room with them or anything. And her slapping him, that wasn't even real, so we like don't have to, she doesn't have to take as much accountability for that as a character. And she finds Harry's corpse, and then we see this sorry, this is so crazy. She like, we see this vision of Harry. She finally uncovers the mystery and puts his remains to rest, and then we see Harry arrive in the spirit realm at the house, the sunny house with all his loved ones, and he's able to rest in peace. And then this would actually be a scary Halloween episode if it involved finding a child's mummified corpse in the walls. And I don't know, it would be like fucked up, but it would be like a really good Athena storyline, right?
Yeah. Now
If she had been
that's Ryan
hallucinating
Murphy's
her-
911.
I'm just
now
saying.
That's in
If
the
they
Ryan
wanted
Murphy
to be
verse.
a little more intense, that's what I would have written.
And then the twist at the end of the episode, we're back in the real world. Athena is crying, holding Harry's mummified corpse, and who should knock on the door?
Well, no,
who should
she would have
knock on the
buried it
door?
by this point.
Right, but who should knock on the door? And she answers the door. Ooh, it's the Coven. It's the Sarah Paulson and Thaisa Farmiga and Emma Roberts and Gabourey Sidibe. They're all there, and they're like, Athena Grant, we have news for you. And then it just ends on that cliffhanger.
Okay,
so
mine
good.
was serious and haunting.
Mine was serious and haunting too, and it ends on an ominous crossover note. So whose has more franchise potential?
Mine did not have the intention of franchise potential.
Okay. Well, we'll just agree to disagree on our approaches here. I just wanted a future for Athena in the Coven. Is that so wrong?
I'm just saying this season could have, like, you know, you could have breathed some life into this slightly off season by having like a really dark, crazy, twisty Athena storyline. And then you wouldn't have to worry about recasting Harry because he would just be dead. You know, I don't like it any more than you do, but it would solve that problem.
But like, imagine Athena Grant like does like this like fucked up resurrection of her son, and he comes back as like a different boy, and she's a witch with a gun.
That would be like if this were the Vampire Diaries or something.
Yeah. But hey, at least we end on the note that, you know, Bobby is. It's confirmed that Bobby is the white boy invited to the cookout.
It's true.
He's invited to the cookout.
The Grant family are all hugging each other, and Bobby just has to kind of side hug Athena because he's like, well, I'm not trying to get in the way of this like actual father-child bond here, but I'll support my wife.
Jane said stepdads will never be a real father to their kid.
Yeah, sorry. This episode had its moments, but of course wasn't great. Shout out to Taylor Kelly. No shout out to the way she was treated by Buck at the end or by McFarie. Both of them are evil misogynists in this episode, but Taylor Kelly for the win. You know, she saved it for me. Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think this episode is a skip. I think you can watch the entire show while skipping this one and the last one and not missing anything. And I hope that trend doesn't continue. The next episode is Shelter in Place, and I think I remember enjoying that one. But we'll see.
There was like some Chimney plot developments in this episode, but that's about it in terms of like real lasting. I guess Eva leaving is like something to know generally for like the canon of the show, but it's not that much of a change. Yeah, I am mostly just outraged. It's nothing you can't cover
in like an Ian Brennan style, like here's what you missed on 911 type thing. You know what I mean?
And I am mostly just outraged at this episode claiming Halloween's stolen valor, I would say.
Yeah. That's it. That's honestly it.
That's it.
You tease us with zoo animal apocalyptic takeover of downtown Los Angeles, and then you don't deliver. You tease us with, you know, Street Fighter style brawl in a LA County jail. And you don't deliver. You tease us
with Buddy being held hostage and
Buddy being held hostage
and Hurt Comfort, and we don't even really get a lot of
and you don't deliver.
Hurt Comfort.
And now you tease us with the simplest task of all. A spooky, fun Halloween episode, and you don't deliver. I'm sorry, season 5, you're on my shit list.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is it too early to say? Season 5, you're gonna have to do a lot of work to dig yourself out of this hole, pal. We'll see.
Listen, I'm holding out hope for season 5B. That's my new My new claim is that maybe season 5B will be better. Thank you for listening to another wonderful episode of the First Respodcast. I think we did great. This has been a bit of a lean episode, but that's what happens when there's not a lot to talk about and we don't want to have to recap every in and out of this stupid, boring, like, detective plot. So,
yeah, if you want like more of us, you know, if you want like a more, I guess, substantial discussion and sort of a more energized and jovial thing spread out over the course of 2 hours, well, let me tell you something. Because if you would like to support us further, you can follow us on social media at First Respodcast, spelled how it sounds. And if you'd like to support us even further than that, you can subscribe to our Patreon, where we just put out our, and by just, I mean like over a week ago, but it's still new-ish. We just put out our Patreon bonus episode for the month of February, identifying fanfic tropes in 911.
It was a time.
It was a banger. It was a banger. I will say, like a sort of a dark horse banger too. Don't forget to vote in this month's Patreon poll. Currently, we have a neck and neck race between watching Angela Bassett movies and watching the first and last episode of Ghost Whisperer.
Ooh, I know Kyla has been
your
gunning
voice
for
heard.
The Angela Bassett movies, and I support her. We've got to get around to it sometime.
However, I also personally support watching the first and last episode of Ghost Whisperer because I love it so fucking much.
I would like to do both, but, you know, they can both happen. Whichever one loses will stay on the poll.
Yes, absolutely. But until then, make your voice heard. Register to vote. Do your taxes. And if you don't do your taxes, just don't say anything about it. It's fine. But if you work in the service industry, I'd recommend it because it's a good year for it. And with that, we'll just say, you know, hope next episode is better.
In parentheses, Halloween. #creepy AF.
#creepy AF.